Sklunk sklunk Ripley D, and welcome to the Roll20 tutorial for Spunions, Part 7, Updating Tokens and Giving Them Vision. And in this tutorial, we're going to go over how to display a player token's HP nameplate, auras, torchlight, and more to your other player tokens. So with that in mind, let's get fucking started. Alright, so let's say your player has sight selected, but they don't have a torch or dark vision, and you are playing with dynamic lighting in a cavern or cave. You as the DM are going to see this, but your player is going to see this. So a player that does not have dark vision or a source of light in the dark will see only themselves, which feels good because it limits a player's information and forces them to play as their character, which is all part of the fun. But let's say your characters are like, this isn't fun because I can't see anything. And you're like, ugh. So to remedy that, let's say, you know, our character lights a torch. Let's say Baby Cakes lights a torch. And a torch is going to be 40 feet of light total, but half of that is dim light. So we're going to go light radius 40, and the start of the dim light is going to be 20 feet, meaning 20 feet is bright and 20 feet is dim. And we're going to have that shed in a 360-degree circle because, you know what, it's tedious to be moving the token around. But if you're the tedious sort of person, you can absolutely do that. And since it's a torch, all creatures and players are going to be able to see that light, so we're going to select all players see light. And now we go to what the player sees, and the player sees what it would look like if they had a torch lit in the dungeon, which is pretty fucking cool because it allows you to deny them information, and if you see them moving around out of turn, you could be like, hey, knock that off. Similarly, here we'll get a little advanced with it. I'll show you something. You can go to the page toolbar, which is something we'll dive in more later. Go to page settings, scroll down, and only update on drop is really sweet because if you don't have this selected, a player can metagame very devastatingly and just be ripping around your dungeon like this and seeing everything that you have prepared, and that's not going to reflect on your DM screen. Whereas if you go page settings, only update on drop, they're not going to be able to do that, which feels really good. They're going to have to move it. I think my internet's a little slow, yeah. They're going to have to move it like this in order for them to see anything. And then you and as a DM are going to be able to see that and be like, hey, knock that off, wait for your turn. Similarly, if you have a lot of walls, and this is some advanced stuff, we're going to get into this a lot more later, you can go to restrict movement, and it's not going to be able to go through dynamic lighting walls. But this is some pretty advanced territory. So I'm sorry I even honestly went over that. I've gotten a bit off topic. Let's get back to what we came here for, vision. So let's say you have a character with dark vision, and that's going to be 60 feet total. Start of dim is going to be 30. And you're going to want to make sure he has sight, otherwise the token will not be able to see. And if you can remember, we did not assign the correct sight version to Icosahedron's character, so let's update him now with the correct one after we confirm everything is working as intended. So 60 feet total, 30 feet start of dim, and all players are not going to see this light because this is dark vision. So we save changes, we go, and oh, it works. And keep in mind, if two different players were controlling these characters, Baby Cakes would not be able to see the light coming from Icosahedron's character. But Icosahedron's character would be able to see the light coming off of Baby Cakes because if you remember from a few seconds ago, we have all players see light enabled. Now you say, Chris, when I drag it out, it's not working. Well, idiot, it's because you forgot to update the fucking token. Still a blind boy. So we delete the defective character, we go back to edit, and we remove. We select the superior character with all the updated information, you select token, save changes, and now when you or the player, really cool feature is that the player can be dragging their own guy out with the vision, which is something that's pretty sweet. Now finally, let's say that this character is a paladin and has a 10-foot aura of protection. And orange, like a safety cone, is the color of safety, so we're going to set it as orange. And then we'll save changes. Now, you can see this, the player can see this, but other players cannot see the fact that the aura is 10 feet. So to remedy that, we're going to go to player permissions, see aura 1, which is pretty sweet. And similarly, the other players can see bar 1, which is health. They can see the name because we have that selected. So aura 1, we're going to go to see, save changes, and now everybody can see whether they are in the Paladin's aura of protection or not, which is something that's important because players will forget, Paladins will forget to remind them that they get a benefit to saves, or that another player will, forget that the Paladin even has an aura of protection. So in that way, that's pretty fucking sweet. But that concludes this. If anybody's made any headway on curing diarrhea, please leave a comment. Please give me a ring, shoot me a text, anything. I'm not picky on the communication, but if you figured it out, please reach out to me.